Hey guys, how you doing? I thought we'd get some of this canning out of the way. I'm going to show y'all how I can green tomatoes. Now, just so you know, this is just how I've been canning them ever since I started canning. I am not a professional canner. I'm like pretty much every other canner in America. We've all got our own ways, and I don't know what's approved and what ain't. I read, though, in a... I still get tickled about it. In one of these how to pressure can books, I was just reading about it, and it's one of the official books from somewhere, and it said to can, and I believe it was pressure can, not water bath. Pressure can your green tomatoes, if you want to can them, for 45 minutes. Well, that'd just be a jar of slush. Can you imagine? I mean, ah, Lordy. Anyway, I'm going to show you how I do it now, and it's at your discretion if you can them the way I do, or never can them, or can them your way. I'm just going to show you how I do it. And what you're going to need is some green tomatoes, and you see the jars I've got lined up back here. I've been washing jars because I've got a lot more stuff to can. And clean jars, and rings and lids and all that. I've got them right here. My rings are over there, so I'll have to dig them out. And then a water bath canner, or a big pot, or whatever you happen to have. And as long as you cover your jars with water, big enough to cover your quart jars or pints, whatever you can in. If it's just one individual, you might want to do pints, but I do quarts. And this is, if you have it, do it. If you don't worry about it, because there's been plenty times I canned mine just water and tomatoes. But now the one thing I do like to have is store-bought water, purified or spring water. And I forgot to get it, but I have canned with tap water, and I'm getting ready to again. Far as I can tell, it's never hurt nothing. I've never had a jar of green tomatoes go bad, ever. But anyway, let's get on with this, and I'll show you what you can see. That little old tomato looks pretty rough. And I just cut off what I might have to get a better knife. I just cut off what I don't like the looks of. That is hurting bad. I don't know if I can. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a better knife, definitely, to see the tomato on the inside looks great. I'll just cut off what don't look to suit me. This is my trash bucket, and a little soft spot. My refrigerator freezes in spots. Well, that's my trash bucket, and I need something else for trash. Well, I guess the countertop it is, because I washed these tomatoes already. I'm going to put my slices down in here. I could put them in the jar as I went, but I'm just going to do it this way. Now, to can them, I didn't this one, I wasn't thinking, but I cut them a little bit thicker. That's about what I'd cut it to regular fry. To can them, though, I cut them just a dab thick. I've got to get a better knife. I cut them about like that. And that still ain't too bad, you can see. But, because you don't want them to be mushy. You don't want them to get mushy on you. Because now you are canning them, and they may stay in that for a good long while. And it's a little thicker than that right there. I just cut that little tail end off. And it don't matter if you cut... Oh, yeah, definitely got to have a better knife. Let me see what I got over here. Somewhere. Here, I'll use this actual tomato knife. It don't amount to a hill of beans if you don't cut that off, but your flour and stuff sticks better. You can see what I've done there. But, I'll cut a few now. See, that ain't bad. It's in real good shape. Oh, yeah. And I don't like wasting none of that tomato. So that right there go right in the jar too, honey. As long as it's good, because it will be ate. Yes, now it's a lot better. I've got a slicer I can set the depth on, but I kind of like just handling them and fooling with them. See there? No, it ain't even. I'll cut that little tail end off of it again. There's another one that the freezer's hit a little dab. Peel some of that off. Well, the freezer didn't do it. My refrigerator freezes. Whenever and wherever, in that, it just, whatever it, ain't no rhyme or reason for it. I'm just glad it's still working. Alright, let me get my mater cut up. A little bad spot. Not much, just a little old tiny. That wouldn't have mattered, because it wasn't nothing rotten or anything like that, just a blemish on the tomato. That's all it was from growing. Well, after you get past that ugly on them, these are pretty. Look at how pretty them are. Them's nice. And see, there's a little tiny blemish that ain't hurt nothing either. But I'll cut it off. Just better safe than sorry, you know. There's some. And you can see that that's just on, well, no, that little spot there, but that is a little bit of a blight has been on it, but you see what I'm cutting off there, them little blemishes. Blight and my refrigerator being real good and stupid. But either way, it's off and it don't hurt it. If I'd have left it, it wouldn't have mattered. Cut that core out a little bit. And I cut that little blemish off the side. And I'm not going, I'm cutting paper thin, because that's all it takes to cut it off. See? I'll go ahead and pre-cut the little tail off. I call it the little tail. The end that's not stem end. I don't know what it's called. The bottom of the tomato. There's a seed. I'm getting quite a little bucket full. Now, before I go any further, now these are, and I got quite a few of them, and I'm going to try to use most of these. These are just old mayonnaise jars, is what they are. And I, honest to goodness, don't know. I can't remember if I've ever pressure canned one of them or not. But I prefer not to, although, truth be known, they're probably better than today's jars that's on the market, truth be known. And then just start getting your tomatoes down in your jar. Let me move this over to the side so you can see what I'm doing there. And I try my best not to just break them all to pieces. But now if I do, I do. Try not to, though. I prefer wide mouth jars. And I've got some there, but I want to use these since I'm water bathing. Which what I ought to do, save these for my pickled corn. But I like to make my pickled corn in pint jars. I don't like to make it in quarts. My husband just fusses. That ain't enough. You didn't fix enough for nothing. Which is true. It ain't enough. Because he loves pickled corn. About better than all the other stuff. But if I'm doing jelly and stuff, I need my pint jars for that. You know, for long-term storage. Because now he tears that pickled corn up. It don't last a long time. I ain't never made too much. And you just want to pack them in here now. You see I'm putting them little tail butt ends around the side. Because I want to have a good jar full. Because you want to have a good skillet full if you're going to fool with all that. I'm getting them in there. And they'll shrink some, you know, after they're cooked. So then you'll have space in your jar, which I don't care about that. I just want to make sure that I've got enough tomatoes in my jar that me and him both can eat our fill in a meal. And we love these. And I'm going to cram one more in there because I know. Now there's what you're looking at. And you all have seen me empty them out and fry them. And there we go. And now I'm going to I'm going to rinse my hands out. Well, chuck death. I have not opened my salt yet or nothing. I got them big old fizz wanting to see you guys and wasn't ready. Bad gosh. I don't even know how to open it. And my hand's wet. That's ideally not the time to open the salt. I'm not going to do that. My hand's wet. Let me try to get my hands dry. Dry my bag back out. I plundered all down in there in those wet hands. But they're damp and it'll dry all that right off my fingers. Alright. Now let me get me. Oh, surely I didn't rip my bag. Yes, I did, honey. Now, how did it rip that bag? I didn't rip it over. It just ripped it. Dag nabbit. Well, I can't leave it in that thing. I'll have to put it in something else. But anyway, I don't use no measuring nothing. I just use a regular teaspoon and dump it right on top. And I'm supposed to have one of them, and I've got one over. But I'm just going to take it over to the sink and run it full of cold water. And I've left it right there. It's at the very bottom of the top of the shoulder. It's at the very top of the shoulder. At the bottom of where it starts screwing in at. And now let me put my knife down in here and kind of fiddle it around a little bit since I've get my bubbles out. I forget to do that all the time. But your water usually will go down when you get them bubbles out. A lot of times it will. And it has. It's went down a dab. I think I'm creating more bubbles. I want them to come to the top and then they'll break on their own the time I get done. I'm going to have to find my debubbler, I reckon. And there we go. And then I will get me these have been boiled. It's not hot right now. I'll rinse it out. Not boiled, they've definitely been washed. There we go. And I just placed it on top of the jar. And it looks like it's been used, but it hasn't. It's some I found that I hadn't used, and it don't have to be boiling because I'm cold packing this stuff. But I'm going to let it sit here and let it finish the bubbles coming out of it. And I believe they're all gone now. Yeah. You can see that they ain't a bubble one. Or I don't think so anyway. I don't see one. Let's put it that way. Anyway, and now I'll get me a ring and put on top of it. Won't you look? I'm ready, ain't I? Right there. Undo my rings. How's everybody been? I tell you what, I fooled around and got hungry and didn't have time to fool with that. I'd rather do this. I'd like to have one of them, and just finger tighten this now. Don't go crazy with it. It's just finger tight right there. And there's what it looks like. And now I'm going to get off here and I'm going to put the rest of them together like that. And then I'll show you what I do next. All right, thank you. Okay, folks, I got 1, 2, 3, 4 quarts and a pint. And I wasn't going to do a pint, but I didn't want to fry them, and that's a good solid pint. And like this jar has got a big bunch of ends and pieces in it. So that will give it some, along with the few big ones that's full-size ones in it, it'll give us a whole supper. And I'm going to show you. And that big water bath counter was too big. Mine was bigger by Bailey. I didn't have enough miters. So I got out the little one that Judy Hubbard let me borrow. And I'm getting ready to use it. And it will hold 7 quart jars. And the pint, that'll be fine. And here's your rack. And you just get your jars in there. That was a little bit smaller, but it'll be fine. Now, what I do when I don't have enough, because I don't want them jiggling and falling and banging into each other, I take me 2 jars, empty jars, and I'll fill them up with water, and I'll suck them in there, and that's what I'm getting ready to do. So I'm going to put them in my canner right there. And then let's get some water in there. And I finished putting my lids and rings on them. Let me see if I got them down in there good enough to, yeah, buddy, just right. Now let's get some water in there. I was getting water in them 2 quart jars too. And what I do is I turn on my hot and cold both full strength. Ouch, something bit me. Full strength. And it makes it barely lukewarm. It don't take long to heat it up. And it don't, there's no chance of it getting hot before your jars do and causing anything to bust or anything like that. And like I said, room temperature is a whole lot to get faster, easier to get to boiling than just plumb cold tap water is. So that's a lot of water. It takes a whole long time to get that where you want it to be. And I want it over top of the jars. I'm about there. One more bucket full out to do. And I didn't fill the bucket up all the way to the top every time, but that's a gallon bucket that ice cream come in. Them handiest things of what. Especially for people that can keep up with the lid. I mean, I'm not one of them people, but I'm sure somebody somewhere is. And I want you to look what I'm wearing. I got off work. I could not wait to get home and get that skirt off, children, and get my old standbys on. Don't you look? I'll show you the shoe. Look. They're both like that. I wear them every day. They're comfortable. But boy, I was tired today. Whew. I'm over it now, though. Let me rinse my hands off since I've piddled with my foot and everything. Let me go ahead and get this just around. Now, and I got it on high drive. And I know surely that's enough water. Surely it is. Surely. Alright, yeah. That's just right. I'll pour this in on my jars. I'll wash it over here. It's supposed to be washing anyhow. And I've got it on high. I'm going to put the lid on it. And the water is over it by about... It's probably over it about an inch. And it ain't going to... I keep the lid on it, so it ain't going to boil down below it anyway. But what I'm going to do is once it starts, because now green tomatoes are delicate. Once it starts boiling, then I start timing. And I boil them exactly 10 minutes. And then I take the lid off and get them out. You can't leave them in there. You got to get them out. And set them over here on your towel. There's enough room for them. And let them just cool and they'll seal and hopefully they'll be fine. But we'll be back. Thank you. Guys, it's been 10 minutes. It's time to turn them off. And I want you to see real fast. Before I turned them, I'm turning them off right now. But you'll see this. That's the full rolling boil for 10 minutes. And that's a water bath canner. And now I'm gonna get them. I gotta get them out trick, don't I? I found that other thing I needed too. That burn funnel. And you know, I used these one day upside down like a moron with that plastic for them jars to slide right out of there. This is the huggy part. I tell you what. But anyhow, I'm going to get them out. Now I'm going to try to turn so you guys can see what I'm doing. Now let me... Nope, can't hardly handle that. Well, I think you can see. I was getting ready to do it wrong again. And then you want to ease them up out there. We don't want no siphoning going on. If I can get a hold of them. And just ease them up now, because you don't want to break them. It's cool as cucumber in here. I don't want them to siphon out. But now they absolutely can't cook no longer. They've got to be got out there. Because it will, well, they'd just be jars full of mush is all they'd be. That's trying to siphon a little bit. I pulled it too quick. Let me ease up. And there's always a chance, you know, that one could break. And just be prepared to, just in case, to fling it away from you. You'd rather clean up glass in a mess than that to blow up on you. But these, they can't stay in that hot can. Because time it cool, they'd be burnt. You can see they're just boiling away. Now here's my jars full of water, and you get back out of my way. That keeps them from banging around and all that stuff. There's the last one. And now I space them a little bit so that they can get a little breath of air there. And I'm going to get me a dish towel and throw over them. Well, I'll throw this apron over them. Anything to keep that from where my air's kicking on from hitting them. And now that's all they need. They'll be fine in the morning. They'll be ready to put away. And that is how I can my green tomatoes. Ain't you pretty? And I tell you what, them be good this winter. I hope I get my hands on them. I heard one ceiling right then. I hope I get my hands on a bunch more, because that's not nearly enough. Not nearly. But I didn't get to raise a garden, and you do what you can do, right? And them was give to, well, they was give to my boy, and he brought them to me. All right then. I'll show yous again in the morning. It's after 10. I better be getting my tail in bed. I have to get up awful early. Thank y'all for putting up with me. I'll see yous in the morning. Bye-bye. Good night. Hey guys, I didn't get to tackle the tomatoes this morning because I was running behind trying to get myself ready for work. But let me show you these now that I can handle them and touch them. Are those not absolutely beautiful? And you can see that they're holding their own, you know. They're not like mush. Man, they're good. And now I have been canning them like this for years and years and years. And never had any trouble ever out of the first jar. And that's wash them off, slice them a little bit thicker, you can see. And load them in your jars, teaspoon of salt. You want to use non-chlorinated tap water. But I have used tap water before, and I used tap water last night on these. And let me let my doggy in. Come on, hurry. There's your good baby. What's the mommy Bowie? But they're sealed and they're beautiful. And these have the Tadler lids on them. And these have some plain metal lids that I had left over from who knows when, but they were fine. And see how I stuff them in there? Just every which way. I just want to make sure that we've got a good mess of them when I fix them. And some of them's cut in half because they were as big around as the jar. I just cut them in half, put them right down in there. Right there, you can see that one's cut in half right there. But I appreciate every single one and everything that you say and do. That's a good jar right there. And for hanging in there with me, children. Lord have mercy. But I reckon I am back on track. That'd make a pretty dress, wouldn't it? My daughter's got me that. It's so prettiful. It's got cupcakes on it. I'm so dumb. I'm giddy when I get off work. I'm like, yes. But anywho, I got 4 quarts and a pint. And I am absolutely tickled pink with them. And I just wanted to show them to you up close, you know, so you could see real good how pretty they are and how well they can. And when I move them around, you know, they're not just falling apart, because they don't. But now they are delicate. I told you that when I fried the green tomatoes that I took out of the can that day. You can't just like beat them to death. Put them in a colander and let them drain good, and then be real gentle and one at a time in the flour, meal, whatever you use. I thank y'all. Thank you so much. And until next time, thank you. Bye-bye.